The Europa League is back at Tottenham Hotspur. It may not be the Champions League and the elite of European football, but it is European football in Ange Postecoglou's second year in charge at Tottenham Hotspur. And we are going to break down all of the stats and all of the reasons why Tottenham should be prioritising this competition this season under Ange Postecoglou. And I'm joined alongside Jack, all the way from Wacko Jacko Land. Just very quickly, Jack, as we're going to do a quick breakdown today. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, mate. Looking forward to getting in and talking about the Europa League. Can Spurs finally get that trophy hoodoo off their back? We say this every year. But look, it's the Europa League. It's a winnable competition, and we're going to dive in and talk about it.
Absolutely, it is a winnable competition indeed. And guys, if you do enjoy this breakdown and you want to see more Spurs content on Spurs related, please do hit that thumbs up button. It really does help us out, and great support on the first video back. I think we got over 1,000 views and a load of likes. So if everyone could like, subscribe, that would be fantastic. But Jack, let's start off. We've got Qarabag tomorrow evening at our beautiful stadium. Can't imagine it will be a sellout, but listen, we've got to get off to a start in this newly formatted Europa League. Obviously, all the European competitions are now not leagues of four. They're actually, you play 7 teams. Jack, what are your thoughts? Sorry, 8 teams. Jack, what are your thoughts on this new format? And do you think it's too many games?
It's a very valid question. I definitely think UEFA have recognised that the Super League, a lot of people were initially very keen on the idea from the money perspective and kind of helping clubs financially. So they've really given it a massive shake-up. I think 8 games is a lot for a group stage, but I can understand why they've done it. It makes it more exciting. You never know what's going to happen. Anyone could beat anyone. I like the fact that it's 8 different opponents, 4 home, 4 away. I'm sure James is going to bring them up now. As you can see there, James, we're not in the Champions League, but we've got some cracking ties. Rangers away, Ange Postecoglou going back to the club that isn't exactly fond of him due to his amazing time at Celtic. Roma at home, I think, is also a very good game. Very well known for doing well in European competitions. Obviously, Jose Mourinho winning the Europa Conference League with them. And I think some fantastic away days, which I will be attending, very luckily, some of them. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing how we play. I want to see if Postecoglou can carry on implementing his style of football. I think playing against lesser teams potentially than some in the Premier League will really help bed in some of the players. I'm really excited to see the likes of Bergerac, Mikey Moore, Archie Gray, etc. And I think it's a fantastic competition that Tottenham have obviously famously won twice.
Yeah, I like it. And also within this group, you mentioned Roma being a big tie. You mentioned Rangers, obviously Galatasaray, former Champions League, regular Champions League team, obviously, and AZ Alkmaar, the return of Troy Parrott, Jack, who I'm just looking now, are playing Elfsborg, the other team we're due to play, and they're 3-2 up, and guess who scored? Troy Parrott. So the man is on fire, and he'll probably have a point to prove against us. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, exactly. I think Troy Parrott was always seen as a high prospect at Tottenham, and it just didn't quite work out. I think clearly he's a talented striker. I understand why Tottenham let him go, because the likes of Will Lancashire, a lot of people put a lot of hopes on Dane Scarlett, who's currently at Oxford, not doing as well as people expected, I've heard. But like you say, there was just a lot of options. I think we signed June Soon-Sup Bell as well, who's now obviously gone as well. But there was just a lot of competition in that striker role. However, Troy Parrott took his opportunity in the Eredivisie with both hands, and he's absolutely smashing it. He scored 4 goals in a 9-1 win. I think the fans were screaming his name and his teammates pushing him towards the AZ Alkmaar faithful. So good for him. He's doing well, but I just hope that Tottenham can show that we're still the biggest club in town compared to them, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll get on to the main question of the video in just a second, but just to break down some of the other teams that are in the competition this year as well. Some big names in there, Jack. Any of them stand out to you?
I think obviously Manchester United historically, you've got to point them out straight away. Eric Ten Hag, I spoke about multiple times before. I don't exactly think they've implemented a style of play yet that I can recognise the Manchester United football team. However, We know every time we play them, we're playing them this Sunday. We've struggled in the past. It's very a 50-50 game. I think that Olympiacos, I think in European competitions, I think they're dangerous. I think that they've got fantastic fans. And if we had to play them in a knockout tie, I don't think that'd be easy. But then again, you can go for the more traditional teams like your Ajaxes, like Real Sociedad. And Fenerbahce with Jose Mourinho, I'm sure he's got a point to prove and would love to play Tottenham in a knockout tie. So yeah, there's a lot of competition. As I understand, James, Tottenham actually are the favourites currently to win the Europa League, which is pretty crazy to say considering our long drought without a trophy. But look, clearly some people believe in the Ange product, and rightly so, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And just to add to what you're saying there, I think there's a lot of teams in here that have had much European experience, not just in Europa League but Champions League. Obviously, looking at Lyon, they started the season very badly last year, but had a really good end to it. You already mentioned Galatasaray, Jack. You've also got, Lazio. No, they're not to be messed with either. Roma, and Ajax and Bilbao. There's some good teams in there.
Exactly. And we haven't
But
even mentioned Frankfurt as well, who obviously beat Rangers in the final a couple of seasons ago and knocked out West Ham in the semi-final. So, like you
yeah,
say, there's a lot of teams here, James, that shouldn't be sniffed at.
absolutely. Listen, the main question on the video, I'm not entirely sure how I've titled it as it's gone out, but Jack, in simple terms, I guess, and please guys debate it in the comments, the Spurs relatables, whack your comments in. I want to see. I'll reply to them all. I think there was about 50 last video, and you got my thumbs working, which was great. But Jack, why should Tottenham prioritise the Europa League? Or should they prioritise the Europa League? And realistically, is this our best chance at winning something?
I definitely think it is probably our best chance of winning something. I think you could argue the League Cup, the FA Cup, obviously, are similar standard of competition potentially, because we know how impressive Premier League and English football is as a whole now. But the Europa League is a massive competition. It's very hard to win. The last time I think a English team won was when Chelsea beat Arsenal, when Eden Hazard's final season at Chelsea, Maurizio Sarri won it. And I think it's not an easy competition to win. Arsenal haven't won it when they've been in it multiple times over the last few seasons. I just think if Spurs can really get this over the line, I think it would really start building something, and Postecoglou would have a real point to prove. He could carry on showing that he's always won something in his second season. Not will, always. I love that quote. I think it gets us as Spurs fans excited. It helps us believe in the team more. So look, competition, I definitely think we should prioritise. However, I think it's also the perfect competition to start blending in the likes of Bergerac, Mikey Moore, Archie Gray, as well as hopefully getting people like Solanke on new signings, Brennan Johnson, up to the standard that we know that they can play at. I think Ange Postecoglou is really going to have time to kind of more. I think with Postecoglou's style of football, it needs a lot of match practice, and he's going to get that in abundance with 8 league matches, being in the League Cup, being in the FA Cup. It's the perfect opportunity. You can argue, yes, it's too much football, but realistically, where we are in the process, I think more games is really going to help the players, especially if there's a healthy rotation.
Yeah, I think we have to look to the youth for this competition. I think we don't have the depth in the first team without dipping into the youth players. I think you're right, and I think Archie Gray, Lucas Bergvall for sure. But I think even as well, Lancashire, Mikey Moore, like you also said, they're going to get game time, and I think I've already seen that they're due to get minutes tomorrow as well. So we'll look at the lineup in just a minute, Jack. What our predicted lineups and Football London's predicted lineups, but I just wanted to add that I think Ange has got to be clever in how he manages this. Like at the moment, in the Premier League, we're bringing a lot of players on between sort of 65 and 80, and you've got to keep a squad happy, right? And it's very difficult to do that with limited competitions, which we had last year. But actually, last year I don't think we had quite as much depth. I still don't think we've got the depth now. But I think when you're spreading it out over 4 competitions, it's a much more healthy dynamic. And you can see, you mentioned Solanke getting his numbers up and getting his confidence, but I also think it's then important to see Lancashire come through.
For
And
sure.
then if Solanke gets injured, Lancashire may get minutes in the Premier League as well. I just think that's really important. and we've got so many different midfielders that and still doesn't really know our best. I don't think he knows our best midfielder personally. We talked about the number 6, we talked about the number 8, but I think this is also a good time to experiment with that midfield. I think the midfield's really important. I know we've got
100%.
issues up front and connecting. It looked better on Saturday against Brentford, didn't it? We were there, Jack, but I think you almost need to be rotating that midfield more in the Europa League to see, okay, that is our best 11 and that's our best second 11. And those 3 midfielders or 2, depending on what he goes with. So I think it's really important that we focus on that. And I think Ange will hopefully do a great job with that. Jack, let's talk about that lineup that we just said about. So this is what Football London is saying. Alistair Gold has gone with Fraser Forster and Guest has gone with Vicario. Let's go position by position, but let's not spend ages on this, guys. Put in your predicted lineups in the comments as well. This is for tomorrow's game. Jack, do you think he goes with Vicario or Forster? Because personally, I don't think Forster's up to it. But then again, you have to use your second keeper, and it's a good chance for Vicario to have a rest. But obviously, keepers technically don't need as much of a rest as outfield players.
Of course
Who
they
would you
don't.
go
Yeah.
for?
I think it could go either way, personally. I think Fraser Forster is such a well-liked member of the squad, and I think the manager will obviously want to keep him happy, and he's been promised minutes. You'd assume that's in his contract, that these are the type of games that he can play in. However, I do think Vicario needs to get some confidence back where he's claiming the ball aerially. We know that he nearly gave away a couple of goals against Brentford. Like, arguably, they should have had a free kick on the edge of the box because Vicario handled it outside the box. As well as that, he didn't distribute the ball perfectly, if we're being completely honest, James. Against Brentford, I'd say he nearly gave away a goal playing around with it when he should have just cleared the ball. So maybe he does need the confidence. In a game against Qarabağ, you'd probably expect that they would create less chances, and that if they're like to score, it probably would be from a corner. So that could give him confidence, claiming his box, kind of commanding his area a bit more. I'd probably go with Vicario, but I understand if Forster has to play.
Yeah, I think he'll go with Forster just because he started in the cup game against Coventry, didn't he? And I think he's the cup keeper, but Vicario I would go with, but I don't think he will. Let's move on anyway. Let us know who you think will start. So right back for Gold's Ali Gold is Gray, and for Guest is Porro. I think he'll go for. I think Alistair Gold's team is more likely. I don't think Moore will start, but then again, could be wrong. I think we'll go position by position, Jack. Let's go defense. Who would you start as your back four?
Yeah, I like his style. I think it's really interesting for me. I'm absolutely gutted Jed Spence isn't actually in the Europa League squad. I think he was fantastic against Coventry and he completely changed the game. I think his energy going forward is a real would be really useful for Tottenham, and I think that rotation is perfect. He's a natural right back. I don't think Archie Gray is a natural right back. I actually think he's more of a number 6, and I'd like to see him kind of in a more midfield role. However, I think he will start right back as well because he can. We've seen it with Udogie and Porro. They almost play as right-sided number 10s. Porro does a lot of the time. So maybe it is a good position for him. Dragusin and Van der Ven, I think he'd probably go I could see that happening. I wouldn't be surprised if he plays Ben Davies left back, Ben Davies centre back, and he rotates someone else at left back.
Who could he put at left back, Jack?
Who could he put at left back?
Not to put you on the spot, but I see what you're saying.
It's hard, isn't it, really? Because
Jed Spence, he played Udogie in the cup.
Does he start Udogie? That's the thing. Probably don't want to risk him too much because he's our main left back. So maybe he will play Davies left back and risk Van der Ven. But we know what Van der Ven's like with his hamstring injuries as well, James. There's lots of decisions to be made, but then it might be good for Van der Ven. And like we said, James, it's an important competition. Qarabağ, they've qualified for this competition in their own right. It could be a difficult game.
Yeah, I think without spending too much time on it, I think we will definitely see Dragusin. I think it will be Gray, Van der Ven. Like you said, it will either be Van der Ven or Ben Davies, and then either Udogie or Ben Davies, depending if Davies plays left centre back, right? And then they've gone Saar, Basuma, and Bergvall sorry, both of them have. Do you agree with that?
I actually do agree with that. I think that is a very nicely balanced midfield three. I think you've got the creativity and you've got the legs in there. I'd love to see Basuma playing the six with Sarr kind of that box to box role and Bergvall being given the license to go forward and kind of unlock those doors and have that ability to be creative like we know he can be. I can't wait to see Bergvall on the half turn looking to play the ball in behind to the likes of Werner and Mort on the wings. Obviously, Werner, maybe some people wouldn't be keen to start. Some people could argue he deserves another opportunity. But I just think I love the way Bergvall plays football. I know people have called me Lucas Spexfowl, including yourself, James, in the past. So it's not because there's a slight comparison in the way he looks. I just love the way he is with the ball at his feet, to be honest.
Oh, listen, Jack, I'm glad you're just the elephant in the room. That's what I was smirking at. You're bigging yourself up there. No, I completely agree. I think Bentancur, he's played quite a lot of minutes, and I think he will be sort of rested. There's still a bit of uncertainty over that ban. I'm not going to get into it in this video, but I think there's still something to come there, maybe. So Gold's gone more Solanke Werner, and Guest has gone Johnson Solanke Werner. I guess it looks like Solanke and Werner, if these guys are spot on, which they are usually pretty right. Would you reckon Johnson or more?
It's a great question. I think Johnson is in a fantastic run of form ever since he's deactivated his Instagram account. He come under a lot of fire. I think people are being horrible on social media. We know what it's like these days, James. Football fans can be very naive and they go straight to their phone, sit behind a screen and criticise people. And then Johnson has reacted fantastically and fair play to him. He's got the winner against Coventry. I thought he was fantastic against Brentford. He's got a great goal that we both saw, obviously. And I just hope that he can continue in this run of form. So maybe playing a team like Qarabag at home could carry on his confidence. If he can get another goal, that's three goals in 3 games. Like that's big for Johnson, especially to start gaining that momentum. However, Mikey Moore is one of Spurs' best talents we've seen in ages. He's got to play. However, I would probably start Johnson and I'd let Moore come off the bench for around 30 minutes. I think that's the best way because Johnson is our main starter. I want to see him carry on the way he's playing. I want to see him have that confidence in front of goal. And I think if you give Moore 30 minutes to slowly embed him into the game and kind of into this first team setup, I think that'd be a good way to do it.
Completely agree. I think giving him his sort of first, correct me if I'm wrong, Jack, his first senior start against in the Europa League is although let's not underestimate Qarabag. I think it's a tough ask, and I think you're right. I think he'll come on the 60th or 70th minute, depending how it's going. The only thing I'm concerned about, and I'm thinking about it in my head now, is do you think we've got a lack of, I don't want to spend too long on it, but do you think we've got a lack of squad depth in the wing department now? Because Odebert's injured, right?
Yeah.
We let Solomon go. Who else have you got in that sort of backup left wing? Obviously, Son usually plays there in the Premier League, but who else have we got that
this
could
is
do
the
a
thing,
job?
James. This is the thing. So I think we've got numbers, but I don't think we have real quality potential, we could argue. So realistically, you have Son as the main left wing. I think you've got Werner and Odeberg, who can also play off the left. We obviously thought we'd have Kulusevski as well, but I think we can all agree he's been fantastic centrally. I want to see that midfield three of Maddison, Kulusevski, kind of Kulusevski in the 10, Maddison left centre mid, and I think Basuma and Bentancur rotating. That's the ideal midfield three for me personally. I think we're going to see more of that, but that's not this video. What this video is about. On the right, I think Johnson is our main starting winger, and you've got Odeberg realistically as the main backup, and Mikey Moore obviously as well. So I think there's numbers there when we've got a fully fit squad, but you've also got Richarlison who can play out wide. But I just think we haven't potentially got the quality. But then again, look, Moore, Johnson, Solanke, that's quite exciting. Werner, let's be honest, we've not been the biggest fan of him so far this season, but he's still a player who's played lots of European football, and he does deserve the opportunity to show that he can play at this level.
For sure, Jack. No, completely agree. And finally, as we wrap things up, Jack, I know you wanted to quickly discuss this.
Sure.
These insights that Sky brought up on their broadcast the other day. Your point is around the amount of chances we're creating, the amount we dominating the ball, and obviously our league position isn't reflecting that, linearly. Do you think Europa League's a chance for the team to gel and really, cement that authority on, reflecting how we're playing and reflecting that in results.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this Europa League campaign. I think previously when we've had managers like Conte and Mourinho, I never felt kind of excited to watch us play or in the Europa Conference League because I never thought the style of football, I didn't feel like there was a process to look forward to. I felt like we were a result-orientated team. And even then we weren't necessarily getting them. With Ange, I'm really looking forward to seeing what players he's going to choose. I know this might be the honeymoon phase, but just the way he sets the team up, the way we're going to play football. We love to drive down the byline and cut the ball back. Are we going to start to be more efficient with our chances? Are we going to start to match the goals with the XG that we're creating? This is why I wanted to bring this graphic up, James, because if you look here, so far this season, average possession, we're dominating games. We're always winning the ball back so high up. Passes into the penalty area, 71, first in the league. Shots on target, first in the league. Touches in the final third, winning the ball back high up, playing this aggressive high-line attacking football. It's working, but we're not quite finishing the chances. And that's why in the Europa League, to have more time embedding this style of play with fresh players, with rotation, to get everyone to buy into this philosophy, I think it could be really exciting. And that's why I'm really looking forward to this Europa League campaign, especially if we can go deep in this competition. And I know we can.
Yeah, completely agree. And the only thing to add, you pretty much summarised it perfectly, Jack, is like Solanke didn't get a full preseason with the team, and so did a couple of the late signings, and giving them that game time is so key in improving that team cohesion and chemistry. And I think we'll start to see, getting on for like November, December, those results be more convincing wins, especially, we won at the weekend, Jack, 3-1, but actually it looked like at one point it could have gone easily 2-2.
Yeah.
And we would have been kicking ourselves for lost points again. But yeah, I completely agree with what you're saying. But guys, that is our little 20-minute preview of the Europa League, of tomorrow's game, and assessing our chances and why we think Europa League is so important. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, Spurs Related Balls. Smash a like on the video and subscribe for more content from Spurs Related. Look, Jack's even brought out a little banner. He's getting a bit too good at this. But guys, that is all we have time for. Thank you so much for your support, and we'll see you again very soon. As always,
Come on, you
come on, you
Spurs.
Spurs.